Stephen, what's your overriding emotion after that?
Disappointed. We had a chance to get to a final and we never managed it, so you're obviously really disappointed. First half was a quite cagey, organised game, and then you get in at half time and you manage to regroup and also talk about things that we could do slightly better, but it kind of changes, the game changes in the penalty, which comes so quickly after half time.
What was your take on the penalty? Any complaints?
No, I think it's. I think people will try and say it was or it wasn't, and there'll be some that don't think it is and some that think it is. But as a forward, I think he anticipates the ball, and as much as Anders trying to get out of the way, the momentum goes into his foot. So if it was for us, I think I'd been asking for it myself.
How important is it to try?
The one thing I would add to that is I find it frustrating that the first thought against Celtic at us, Tynecastle, was penalty. Today, first thought was penalty. But for us, first thought was red card. I find that very strange, if I'm honest, as well.
How frustrating is it that leads to such a quick collapse? I think it was a free in about 14 minutes or so, and then the tie's pretty much beyond you at that point, isn't it?
Yeah, that's for us personally, that's a frustration, because at 1-0, if you manage to regroup and get some control, you don't know how the game goes. If we're putting more pressure on, the game gets played in their half, and as you've seen later on, we got a penalty that if it's 1-0, then that's a defining point in the game. But to concede the 3 goals is a battle that we need to learn from, because like you say, the tie becomes a mammoth task when it's 3-0.
Is that the frustration that you'd spoken about that beforehand? You know, the losing quick goals in succession, against Everton last weekend as well, and it hadn't been learned from today, you know? Yeah,
it's frustrating that today, in terms of there's a slight difference in this cup competition, so at some point you do need to gamble, but yeah, if it's 1-0 with half an hour to go, then if we get a bit more control in the game and attack, then all it takes is one moment to get a chance to score. We have the header at 1-0. If that goes in, that's like the kind of moments, but so quickly after that you then lose the goals, the part for us to learn from.
Stephen, that first half, quite a few times guys will get a chance to pass forward and they go backwards. Is that instruction, or are they taking it upon themselves?
I wouldn't have said it was obvious. I think at times we had the ball. The biggest frustration was when we never switched it as much, because there was loads of space. Rangers narrowed the pitch a lot. There's maybe a couple of times that players are uncertain of a pass, but rather than force it, I think in the second half you've seen that we forced it a couple of times, lost it, and then it really hurt you. But I wouldn't say it was a big part of the game, if I'm honest.
What were your first thoughts, Stephen, when you saw that Stephen Kingsley was shown the second yellow and then red card?
Crazy. To think that he would try and dive when it's that below, the ball's miles away, the ball's been out park. He's never going to get a penalty for a dive. It's just strange that seems to happen, that first thought's red card for us. When it's a clear kick. Nowadays I think it's been there's been a few penalties in recent weeks with that stamp on the foot. Aberdeen in Europe was one. It's clear that it's a thing, but why was it not even just penalty and then we can review it? It was red card and then we'll review it, which it's strange for me.
Was the game plan to kind of just ease your way into the game, and as the second half progressed to try and come out a bit more and attack Rangers, or is it just the way Rangers played, just couldn't get quite out as much in the first half?
Yeah, we didn't switch the ball well enough in the first half to get us up the pitch. I think when we did, we got into the final third. Alex Cochrane had a couple of good crosses and things like that. But in these games, Rangers have always watched and they were a bit more aggressive with the press, and we never managed to get the ball across the pitch, which puts you under pressure in tight areas, and it got a bit scrappy for us in that respect.
What would you say to the fans that are deeply unhappy the game was over after barely an hour, expecting more from the team?
Oh, everybody's frustrated. I'm sitting here frustrated because, like I've just said, if it's 1-0, the game carries on, and you potentially get chances. To concede the goals is difficult, and it takes the game away from us, and that's something that we'll need to learn from, because, like you said, the game was done after 60 odd minutes. When it goes 3, it makes it really tough for us.
You guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.